sports last night.
Correct.
Dominoes fell everywhere, and they started it. It was because the Bucks had the guts to plunge. They broke ranks to do it. They went prematurely, but they did it.
But you know who the big dog was?
Yep.
Giannis.
Well, I'm sure he was.
Without,
Sure he was.
if Giannis says we're playing, they're playing.
No, I got it. I got it. So I did love the statement of it. And again, is it going to end racism in the United States? No.
No.
But it was another awakening moment where I can only speak, from the white perspective. I think a lot of white people sat back once again, as they did in those weeks through the protests after the George Floyd murder in Minneapolis.
Yes.
And it was another enlightenment moment. It was another awakening moment of, wow, they are really serious about this. And I was forced to go through a night with no basketball. And you know how much I love my NBA and my NFL. We're going to talk about the NFL in a few minutes here. It hurt, but it hurt in a good way because it just showed how serious these players are about trying to get something done.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to make the statement one more time. It was naive for anybody, including George Hill and the Bucks, to think that all the protests, all the awakening, all the enlightenment, everything you talked about, eradicating those symbols, those statues, those names, that would eliminate racism within the ranks of the police across this country.
No.
Because you know and I know, racist cops are already embedded in their jobs.
That is correct.
They were grandfathered in. They're already there. They're in power. They got a badge. And they got a gun.
Yeah.
And you can't stop their mentality. You hoped that some would be awakened enough to say, maybe I should think twice the next time, maybe.
Right.
But there's one guy or maybe a couple of guys in Kenosha who didn't get that message, and it happened.
Skip, I don't think George Hill thinks that, after the protest, but what we want is accountability.
Accountability. Consequences.
Yes.
Consequences.
Because as you mentioned, as those cops are embedded, the system is also in place. And people say it's a broken system. It's not. Skip, it's like when you stick the key in your ignition and turn it over, or you push the button and it fires up, the car is not broken. The car did exactly what you were supposed to do when you pushed the button. It cranked. The police system is working exactly how it was supposed to work when they instituted 200 years ago. The system is not broken. Actually, it's working like a finely tuned machine. It's doing everything that they set it up to do.
You can certainly argue. So, I throw this out just to frame all this. We always talk about perspective.
Yes.
In context. Is it possible that some in the bubble are they're suffering such bubble burnout? They're so at wit's end. There's such cabin fever because they've been stuck in that bubble for so long and they don't like it. And the families are to come round 2, which would be the next round of the playoffs, but they're not quite there yet. Is it possible nerves are so frayed that this is a little more of a raw reaction than it would have been had they been playing real basketball at home, with real travel schedules and the whole thing? Maybe a little bit, maybe a little bit. Still, it was a beautiful thing to watch.
Yes.
And still, it prompted a fiery meeting at 8 o'clock Eastern time. Everybody went, coaches, players. They even had some of the family members of Jacob Blake on, I'm sure, on some sort of Zoom call to participate. So this is high, raw emotions.
Correct.
And there was some anger because some of the leaders of the other teams were like, I thought we were going to discuss this and have a unified approach to this, all for one, one for all.
Right.
LeBron was angry in part because of that, because he wanted to be the out front leader. But he also took it personally that the owners haven't done enough.
Right.
So reportedly, he led both his team and, to me, the second best team, or maybe the first best team, the two best teams, Clippers, the two LA teams, walked out in unison. That was the first unified approach of those two teams, right?
Yes.
And he led the charge out the door because they had heard enough or not heard enough during the meeting. So the ranks are split a little bit here because the top two teams, we think you can throw the Bucks in, obviously. They're saying we haven't done enough. All those things are great. The T-shirts, the logos on the floor, the messages on the back of the jerseys, all that's fine, but it wasn't enough. And it didn't obviously stop what happened in Kenosha, Wisconsin. So now it's Lakers, Clippers, and I would like to think it's more of a threat than a vow, that it's not over yet, and they're going to meet again at 11 Eastern, 8 our time here in the Pacific. And I would hope that they would see their way clear to maybe boycott another couple of games, but to come back and finish the year. And this is my gut feeling on this whole thing. I know they have all discussed, starting with George Floyd, could they do more at home than in the bubble? Well, I'm curious what you think about this, because my 2 cents from a distance are that in the bubble, you still have that great stage. We're entering the heart of the NBA playoffs. Everybody's interested and everybody's ears, eyes are open to what you're saying from the bubble. If George Hill, let's take him for an example, goes home, does he lose some of his stature, his platform, his power? Maybe. I would say yes.
Skip, I don't believe. Here's the thing. There's no worse feeling than feeling like you're helpless. Because, Skip, as you see a child is crying and you know there's something wrong and there's nothing you can do. Well, these black athletes, and there's some of these people feel like there's black people in America crying and they're down in the bubble and there's nothing they can do. George Hill says, you know what? If I wasn't in this bubble, guess where I would be? In Kenosha, Wisconsin. Maybe LeBron James says, if I wasn't here, I'd be in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Maybe I would be a part of Portland. Maybe I would be in Chicago, but I'm here in this bubble. You see, Skip, the thing is that what people don't understand, and I want people to understand this every day. Every day you live your life, I want you to understand one thing. You're writing your eulogy. And LeBron James says, I'm writing my eulogy. Some of these guys says, I'm writing my eulogy. Am I just going to be a basketball player? When they lay me, as I'm laying in that casket, or I'm in that urn, only thing they're going to say about me, I was a basketball player, is that the only thing they can say?
Well, none of them are prisoners in the bubble, let me tell you.
But
they could leave now. But at this moment, they could all pack and go.
Yes, but they like, you know what? I want to be here for my team. And I thought that, you know, Skip, and maybe it was naive of them to believe that after this uproar, this uprising that we've had over the last 3 months, that it would tone down. It's ratcheted up. It's going nowhere, Skip. Every night you turn on the phone, you see your television, you see another black, another unarmed getting killed. And so we're adding another name to Walter Scott, to Eric Garner, to Philando Castile, to Alton Sterling.
I'm not sure we see one every night.
Skip, they say there have been 300. So how many days has it been since George Floyd was May 29th to here we are August 27th?
300 unarmed black men or
women.
They
said there've been another 300 murders. Let's just say
shot by white cops?
We don't know if they were shot we don't know if it was, because here's the thing, Skip. What happens when there's no camera? You see, they didn't have body cameras. That's video from somebody's cell phone. Skip, what we've been conditioned, and I was talking to someone last night, Skip, and I said, you know what, we've been conditioned. Because we've always been told, Shannon, you got to look a certain way. You got to cut your hair a certain way. You got to act a certain way. And Skip, before the Rodney King, when the police were involved with blacks, we had been so conditioned, the first thing we asked, what did he do? He had to do something for the cops to kill him. The cops don't shoot people without giving for no reason. And then we saw Rodney King. Now, we get the protest, John Lewis on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, and Skip, we saw the protesters in grief. That was a different situation. But we talking about police in a one-on-one situation. That was really the first time that it came into our living room. And we said, wait a minute, we're going to have to rethink how we look at the police, because this notion that they have a reason to do what they did got thrown out the window. And so now we have what we call excessive force. And so now you don't get the benefit of the doubt. The cops have always received the benefit of the doubt, and they want to continue to receive the benefit of the doubt. And they said, well, Shannon, when black people kill people in Chicago, let me tell you what happens, Skip. When they kill somebody in Chicago, they find out who it is. They don't say, well, we need to gather all the information. We need to do a more thorough investigation before we go pick up Pookie because he killed Ray Ray. They go pick up Pookie, they bring him in, and they gather information as they got his butt in jail. When Dennis Chauvin The DA wanted to, we need to gather all the information. We need to, because we don't know the circumstances.
Yep.
That's not how it happened. See, those guys are peace officers, Skip. They're there to protect. So they have an obligation. So I think this is what's going on, Skip. And so to give LeBron, give Kawhi a lot of credit, Giannis, because I think they have the most at stake here, Skip. Those are the most visible names. They're the biggest name.
Yep.
I believe a championship does the most for them than any other guy. Throw James Harden in there, Skip. And for them, and like you said, maybe it's just, but I don't believe Doc Rivers, after what he spoke, I don't believe this is an empty promise from him. From LeBron James and to hear him and know what he's been about, I don't believe this is an empty threat from them. I really don't.
So I think I'm hearing from you that if LeBron James reportedly said last night, we need to leave here. If you leave, you have to be in the streets, as in Kenosha, in Portland, in Seattle, wherever you're going to go.
Yes.
I think you're telling me that LeBron has decided to go back and be in the streets.
I believe he would. Because, Skip, the thing is that we're going to have to look. We're going to have to put, and I was talking to Michael Eric Dyson, and I think we're going to have him on tomorrow, Skip.
Yep.
And I say, Doc, we're going to have to find people at the local level, mayors, because they do the hiring and the firing of the police department.
They do.
I said, we're going to have someone to run on a ticket that says we're going to break this union, the police union. And if you're not willing to run on that ticket, you can't be in office.
That's got to be issue number one, and that was straight from Doc, who's, remember, his father, Grady, was a cop on the west side of Chicago.